Okay, fantastic. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to what I think you're going to find is a very interesting, informative, and maybe eye-opening webinar on a very unique fundraising model, all wrapped around solar renewable energy and our new partner need.org, which is based out of the DC area. And, really, I'll start with this. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and just about everything we're going to talk about for schools and for families is free, including the curriculum, including the support, and including the actual solar systems that we're going to talk about that could be installed on your family's home for them to lower their electric bill and help the environment. You're probably wondering, how can all of that stuff be free? Well, let's get through the presentation, and I think you'll understand why, and hopefully you'll want to get involved, because this is a time when it takes mass effort to kind of pivot the environment and where it needs to be going. And here's some resources to help get students and families and communities involved in advocating for some of these things. So real quick, who are we? Funds for Solar is a new company that I formed, um, to help schools raise money. I've been working in K-12 education for almost 30 years, and I haven't seen a time like this. None of us has, and a lot of our schools are struggling. A lot of our families are struggling, and so when I got involved with solar with my partner, I learned that there are new plans, new ways for people to get solar that doesn't cost anything. And when I learned about this model, I wanted to put together a fundraising option where not only can families get it installed, but schools could raise a little bit extra funds. And how about if we actually educate students about why we're doing this? What's the why behind solar? What's the why behind renewable energy? Um, and so we're going to go through all the steps involved here. The four main things we're going to cover is, what are the challenges? Why is renewable energy important? And what are some of the potential solutions? One of those solutions is the curriculum and support developed by need.org. And Barry Scott's going to talk about that. And then from there, how can we help you continue um, your involvement with renewable energy and curriculum and next generation science standards? And Dr. Hoffman, who's live with us from Germany, I'll let her to explain why. We'll talk about how we could really provide resources. And then I'll end with the fundraising model. What are the potential dollars you can make depending on the size of your school and the involvement from your families in your community? And we'll actually show you some numbers that you could realize. But one of the biggest challenges, obviously, air quality is an issue when it comes to an environment that is breaking down, changing. And now environmental and having things change is not something new. This has been happening over the lifetime of our planet, but now we're kind of, because of human intervention, it's kind of getting a little worse than it needs to. If you look at some of the worst places for air in the country, a lot of them are here on the West Coast where I live. I actually live in a home that burned to the ground in the late 80s, was rebuilt in the early 90s. I understand how damaging environment can, or how a bad environment can add to fire hazard. I have burned out trees in the backyard that remind me every day. We got evacuated this last summer, and a lot of people around, especially in the West Coast, are very familiar with fire and what it can do to a community and what it can do to the air and how that raises awareness. And so a lot of schools and a lot of families are wondering, what can we do to make a difference? How can we help improve the situation? Are we going to get evacuated again this summer? Maybe, because I don't know that anything's changed yet. If anything, it might be getting worse. So we definitely need to find ways to pivot and start, getting the trajectory back in a positive way, rather than continuing to damage it and continuing to worry about fire and in some parts of the country flooding. Now, something else that just happened recently, and I'm sure we're all aware of it, is what happened in Texas. This is also in the environment related, and they were freezing. And I don't mean to make light of it, but people people died because they weren't prepared for this drastic change in the weather. All of this, um, is not going to get any better anytime soon unless major change happens and people get involved and get aware and advocate for ways to improve the environment. And so this is one of the things that we're trying to help schools understand and create opportunities for them to integrate some of the new science standards into their curriculum and be aware of new ways to power our world and to generate power, and to prepare for the eventuality where you're going to have to do this. Some of the good news legislation wise, and I'm not sure if Barry's going to touch on it or not, but here in California, where I'm at, I believe it's by 2025, all new homes must have solar. That's our great thing, but that's 2025. That's down the road. And then how about all the established homes? Well, that's where I see us working together. Need funds for solar, schools, and innovative companies around the country. All those established homes have roofs that can hold solar panels. How can we advocate and get the word out so that people can understand that they can bring down their electric bills, they can produce clean energy very easily and for no money out of pocket? So this message, although this is a new program, people that are aware of it are starting to figure out, what can I do to not only get this installed at my home, but also, let my neighbors, my coworkers, my family members, let's get everyone aware of what's available for them. Something else that we've noticed, not only has the environment and climate change been an issue, but working from home, learning from home has caused a whole nother level of issues that we're having to deal with. And again, it all comes down to expenses and how can we manage that and bring them down. And what I have found on a personal note, when we got our solar system installed, our electric bill went down 38%. Now that's with the model that we're promoting. That's the zero, the free solar installation. We buy our power from a company, and our rates went down 30%. My wife's happy about that because she pays the electric bill, and so she couldn't wait for our solar to get installed. And that's, those are just realities of what's going on out there. So we have developed a model. There's some solutions to these problems. None of this is going to change overnight, but what can change overnight is people's perceptions and how they approach solving the problem. Now, my, I mentioned I've been in education for almost 30 years. This is near and dear to my heart. How we impact schools, impact students, and impact curriculum and choices people make. Phase one is actually where we develop a renewable energy plan and an awareness at schools through curriculum, through lesson plans and resources that we're going to share with you in a moment. Phase two of our model is where we actually now partner with the parents of that school to get free solar installed. Now, this does two things. It helps the families lower their expenses. And they're creating free, clean energy, electricity, but also it allows students to see in real time the statistics of how not only their electric bill dropped, but the amount of energy that they're consuming, and they're aware of these things. And it's a very powerful lesson when it's tangible, hands-on, and it's actually on the roof of your home. It makes it all, full circle for a young person who's going to be driving these ideas into the future. And then phase three, once our families have become consumers and users of solar energy, they're going to become advocates. How can we now take and spread the word to the community? How can we get our students to advocate? I always think of this young girl, this young European woman, Greta Thunberg, I believe her name is. Look what this one young person has done on a international level to bring awareness to this. If we could create a bunch of little young people like that in our communities, to do similar things, how powerful would that be? If they go to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and talk about these ideas, if they go to school functions and parent nights and talk about these ideas, if they use social media, which they're all very good at, creating TikTok videos about how to improve the environment. If we create this army of advocates, um, we could really start making a difference. And this is what we're trying to accomplish. I know my ideas are vast and broad and maybe, you know, bigger than they should be, but these are the kind of things that need to happen if we are going to make a serious difference in how we approach energy in our country and how we're going to protect our environment moving down the road. Anyway, so phase 1, 2, and 3. Let's get into some of the details of phase 1. So I'm going to move this over to Barry, and Barry's going to talk about the need.org, the curriculum they have available, and resources that you can have for free. Barry, you're up.
Thank you, Ernie. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. My name is Barry Scott. I'm the state director in California for the NEED project, a 41-year-old program now that I'm proud to be a part of. My background is in architecture and industrial design. I discovered teaching a little before the turn of the millennium, and while I was teaching, I discovered the NEED project, and I was so delighted to find it because this is free curriculum, quality curriculum, and teaching to vitally important topics: the environment, energy, and our mission, as it states here, is to really raise the energy literacy of our entire society. And we do this through programs that are school-based, teacher trainings, curriculum. There are grant programs, and working with partners like Ernie to bring to raise awareness about energy matters. You know, our standards, we teach energy, but we don't always teach it in an applied manner, and we don't always teach it in a comprehensive manner where we're looking at the impacts of our actual use. And so as you become familiar with NEED materials, I think you'll become a fan too. So we're all about preparing teachers. We're all about providing support for teachers in the forms of really just, we stay in touch with teachers. If you have questions, you can contact us, but we also provide workshops and hands-on kits, and our curriculum is available online for free. Next slide. We teach energy, and we support teachers learning to teach energy in a sequenced fashion. And it begins with understanding the basic science of energy. You can't really become you can't become an effective teacher or an effective citizen in terms of transportation and conservation, for example, until you know what the basics of science, of energy science are. Transformations, conservation, what are the forms of energy and their transformations. From there, that's where we start. And this is at kindergarten, middle school, high school. The flow is the same. Start with the basics. From that basic energy science knowledge, we move into sources of energy. Where does our electric power, for example, come from? How is it generated, depending upon each source? What's the difference between renewable and non-renewable? We get into electricity, we get into transportation, and really the goal at the end of the day for all of these things is conservation and efficiency, understanding how our behaviors and our choices impact our future, impact our pocketbooks, impact climate change, and the rest. So it's a very rich and smart sequence of lessons. Next. Here we go. Because this is a solar program and we have titles across all of the sources of energy, renewable and non-renewable, but these are some selected titles that represent a range of solar energy lessons and activities. And they come at 4 different grade levels. We typically break up the 12 grades into primary, elementary, intermediate, and high school. And I just threw in a cover for each of the from each of the kits that are available for the solar energy topic. And at the top right, you'll see that Schools Going Solar Guide is a very useful one for schools, and it would be applicable for homes that have a an energy tracking, an energy generation tracking application. And most, in my experience, every school and every home that has a solar power generating, rooftop system or a carport system also has an online dashboard that will show your real time and your historic generation. And we've had great success with schools and applicable to homes where students or occupants and customers will keep an eye on what they're generating. And sometimes it really impacts how their behaviors are around when they're using power and when they're not using power. And taken together, they can really, end up using less energy than they would if they didn't have that information and that desktop application and dashboard. Next slide. Now, to support the idea of becoming energy experts at home and school, I selected 5 titles that I think are important for our guests today and all teachers to know about. And again, each of these guides is available for free from our website. And these come from the energy conservation and efficiency section of our curriculum. You can the energy conservation contract is something that can be used. It's really designed to be used at home. Teachers could give that to students to work on with their families and make some commitments. Managing home energy use, a school energy survey, and it becomes richer and richer with the blueprint for school energy teams. When a school gets really involved and interested in energy, we support and provide resources for a teacher to work with students to create school energy efficiency teams that can do classroom energy audits. They can work with facilities personnel at the district level to manage energy more effectively. And so this is, again, just a taste of what we offer. Next slide. I know this is an important topic, and it's important to teachers these days, and for good reason. The next generation science standards, but just standards generally. Teachers are asked to follow and adhere to state and sometimes national teaching standards across the different subject areas. And the NEED project provides updated curriculum correlations to each state's standards in, again, across the various subject areas, as well as next generation science standards and aligned with Common Core. Next slide. And this slide shows kind of the way it works. You'll go to our website and you'll be able to pull down documents that are next generation science standards and NEED, as well as spreadsheets for each state. And you can cross correlate. You can look for your standard and find what titles address that standard, or you can look at the titles that you're interested in teaching and be able to find what standards are addressed when you deliver that lesson or conduct that activity with your students. It couldn't be more friendly than that. We offer, and this is how I met the NEED project. We have a fabulous summer institute each year, and I went down in 2003 and I met the NEED team and teachers from all over the nation for a 4-day summer training. But our most common model for teacher trainings is a 1-day program. Sometimes they're 2 days. They are provided for free to teachers. They often include a science kit, a hands-on science kit. And what we are doing is we're training teachers in those steps that I mentioned early, the basics of science energy sources, and with sometimes there'll be a specialty in a particular source of energy, for example, a solar workshop or a wind workshop. And teachers love these workshops, and they go home and being much the wiser around energy, and we provide the confidence for them to teach the subject. In my experience with teachers, they're a little bit shy, like energy sounds complicated. And after a workshop with us, and some of them come to more than one workshop, they just feel more and more confident. I want to mention here too that energy is not just a science topic. We have titles that work for English language arts, for performing arts, for history and social studies topics, because energy is really tied in with and can be tied to every subject area, and our materials support that. So we don't just get science teachers, not by a long shot. So, it's consistent with this slide speaks to the model that we see in states. I'm in California, and anywhere that you might have wanted to get an installation that is incentivized by your utility company, the first step, and this is also best practice if you were to be investing in a system for yourself, before you go and size your system, you want to go and do an energy audit of your home or your building and learn everything that you can do and take every step possible to reduce your energy use in the first place. So, and then you size the system, and then you invest and have the system built. And so this is another example of how with our workshops and with this program, and with our workshops and our range of titles and activities, we're not just teaching how does solar work, and we're not just teaching, and we do have guides that helps that guide students through the process of actually sizing a solar system. How many panels do I need? How big a system do I need? But we also teach the bigger picture about how before you even put in solar, you should find out what can you do to reduce your power needs in the first place. So yeah, go ahead. That's fine. And I will be available at the end of this presentation to answer questions. What I want to point out, though, is that we are the most user-friendly. I'm coming to you as a former teacher and administrator, and there's nobody on this planet that provides energy education like we do. You can call our main number, you can contact me, and we always pick up the phone, and we always respond to our emails, and we're here to help teachers and really parents too learn, find resources, answer questions, and just that's our mission. Be sure to go to need.org, check us out on Facebook, follow our Twitter feed, follow us on Instagram, and check out our YouTube channel. Is very rich with lessons and information, and just become a part of the Need family like I did. You'll love it.
Awesome, Barry. Thank you for that overview of the resources that you guys provide. And I'll say it firsthand. Being in ed tech for 30 years and developing curriculum and being part of project management on so many different levels, mostly with technology. Our initial intent was to develop our own curriculum, and Malia and I, brainstormed that, and then we came across your stuff, and we said, there's just no way we could do it as well as they do, as quickly as they do, and it's updated regularly. It meets the needs of all the different state standards. All the correlations are done, and you have amazing support, and you guys are just a good group of people. So we're happy to be partnering with you. It's very synergistic what we're trying to accomplish and what you guys do. So I'm looking forward to really spreading the word and getting the need.org name out there. Now, the one thing I do know is that you could have all the resources in the world, but sometimes that gets overwhelming for teachers or administrators. And I know you guys offer a lot of support, but this is one of the things that we also provide, because we want to take this curriculum model and we want to create very motivated, excited students, advocates for solar and renewable energy, again, to get these concepts into the community. And that's where we could help as well. And so when schools come to us and say, we have all this great stuff from Need, and we have this fundraiser going forward, how do we do this? And my answer is, well, let's ask the professor. So right now, let's ask the professor what we could do to help schools, and just a little background, and you could fill in the blanks where I leave important facts out, Malia. Dr. Hoffman is an actual real life professor from Cal State Fullerton. She's an amazing educator. She's an expert in teacher preparation, and currently she is actually overseas in Germany, because she's also in the reserve, the military reserves. And so thank you, Dr. Hoffman, for serving our country and doing what you do for us, but at the same time keeping your hands involved in some of the important aspects of what we're trying to do to help teachers and students, and also for this project with renewable energy. I'll be quiet, and I will let you speak and share how you and us with Funds for Solar help the need.org system get in place at schools.
Thank you, Ernie, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And Barry, thanks for covering that curriculum. Yeah, Ernie and I have been partnering for several years now, working on little, I call them my passion projects, and it's his companies, but I like to just get my hands in a lot of things, and science curriculum has been something I've always been very passionate about, and just saving our earth. So when he said, do you have interest in joining this project for solar initiative, I was like, definitely. What Barry said about their products being very user-friendly, very easy, he is not wrong. However, I know how strapped for time teachers are and how overwhelming some of those resources can be. And so that's where Ernie and I can come in and help, where we can help sift through those materials, pull those out for you, pull the pertinent videos, provide some hands-on assistance in helping you integrate them into your classrooms, into your schools. And like Barry mentioned too, a lot of those units and those projects are cross-curricular. So we can help you use those with your non-sciencey type teacher. And with my experience working with teachers and preparing teachers, I hear a lot is that science curriculum is overlooked and that it's not taught at all, or they might teach it once a week. And if that's the case, and if you're trying to get science curriculum more into your school, this is a really good place to start. And as been mentioned several times before, it is connected to the NGSS standards. So that helps bring a little bit more, I guess, comfort into the way where it's not just fluff and you're not just teaching it for the sake of teaching, a fun project, but kids love science. And what I loved about this project is that when you're thinking about integrating or changing your home into a solar home, they're able to access real data and have that connection to authentic learning experiences that will connect them deeper to that curriculum, where they will remember this project for years, beyond the sixth grade classroom or the 10th grade classroom or wherever you are teaching this. And like Barry said, the curriculum can start from early childhood all the way up into high school. So where Ernie and I come in is just an extra bit of support for you to help get the resources and the training. And like Barry mentioned, they do have kits that they sell, or you can, of course, put together your own kits so that you have those materials that you would need to do those science projects. But Ernie and I are here to help and assist in any way that you might want. And it's more of a consulting type of a project where we meet with you and want to meet your needs and what you need, and what your ideas are, and what your vision is for your school.
Thank you for that, Malia. And that's actually a great statement. There's not a one size fits all here. If you I was overwhelmed when I went to the need.org website. There's so many resources. So that is one thing, is we could help you sift through and identify what are the right pieces. And then Malia touched on it, and I in the beginning of the presentation, I told you just about everything we're going to talk about here is free, including solar panels on your home, curriculum, all this stuff. But there are some things that you could pay for. Need has some wonderful kits where you could have them for the classroom, for individual students, where students could actually do projects, science projects that are fun, interactive, collaborative. Some of these projects could even be done at home through a virtual environment. I keep hearing about this pizza where they could cook a pizza with solar. I don't know how that all works, but it sounds like a lot of fun, especially right now since it's about lunchtime for me. But all this stuff is available now. This could be as limited as you want or as large as you want. As Malia mentioned, a lot of schools are struggling to really introduce the next generation science standards. They haven't really figured out the best way to approach this. This is a great way to onboard and start small and go big as you're ready to do that. And the fundraiser can support any costs that come along with this. So we're really hoping that you get your feet wet with the curriculum. Then we go to phase two, which is to launch the fundraiser. And this is where now we can start generating money. The way the fundraiser works is for every one of your families that installs a solar system on their home for free can get this. We will rebate $500 back to the school. If you get one family, that's $500. That's better than $0, right? But if you get 10 families, well, that's $5,000. So now we're starting to talk about some really significant resources. And now we have so many options to go with to buying kits, to really build out a full science program, to maybe even get some lab supplies. But we have a lot of schools are talking about technology for the classroom. Raises for teachers. I mean, there's so many things that we need to think about, and this fundraiser can support those initiatives. So phase two is just getting your families on board, understanding how the solar systems work, being able to see the data analytics, and both Barry and Malia touched on this, being able to see real time how much energy your roof is producing and seeing the numbers. It's fascinating watching how the sun is doing what we used to pay the grid for. It's fascinating for students to see that and understand that there's free power out there. It's coming down from the sun, and we can capture it with solar panels. It's fascinating. Um, but phase three is when we really want to go to the next level. And this is where I'm excited that we are creating this foundation for advocacy and really getting out into the community. Every school is a hub for their community where they could talk to their neighbors. We have these door hangers that kids walk around and put it on their neighbors' doors about solar systems for free, where they could actually go to their coworkers, the family members, the parents, where they can go to their church or their football team, their groups, whatever it is, to start advocating and really create a network for this program to thrive. Um, and for every solar system, the school gets that $500 credit. So it's kind of a cool model where we can make a dent. We can really make a dent in actually getting people shifted over from the grid. They don't disconnect from the grid. They're just no longer pooling as much power from the grid. That's a whole other conversation of how it works, but it's very fascinating on how they could generate their own power. Let's talk about some of the benefits. I mentioned our particular system. We realized last month we had a 38% reduction in our electric bill. Not bad. Uh, it was free. The solar system is free. Right now, the program is only for residential. We don't do commercial or apartments yet. It's got to be a single family residential. What's also neat about this program and different from the old days when solar was bad, there's no liens on your title for your home. That if you're a real estate agent and you drove to a home that had solar panels on it, sometimes you just kept on driving because there's so much headache unwinding all the paperwork. No longer, there's no liens on the house in this model. Energy, all the analytics and the billing is all done from the app. It's very, for data junkies like myself, you could just see it and handle everything digitally. It's very nice. All the maintenance is included, that we don't charge you. There's no hidden fees. Maintenance is included. And this is another big one for homeowners. If you sell your house, the system is now an asset. If you're selling a house to a new buyer and you tell them, by the way, your electric bill is going to be 30% less than what you're currently paying, your current rates, that's actually an asset, and that's a value that makes your home value go up, and this system is fully transferable. There are a couple, there should be an asterisk on here somewhere. In order for this to work, you need to own your home, you need to have a good roof, and you need to have a 650 or better credit score. They want to make sure that they're dealing with, solid homeowners. If they install solar panels one day, they want to know that you're not going to tear them down and sell them on eBay the next day. And I guess that's how they gauge that, is with your credit score. But if the new owner doesn't have those requirements, if they don't have a good credit score, it still will automatically transfer. That's just in the contract. Makes it really nice and sweet. There's no way to lose here. So let's talk about potential. Let's not go to the far right bottom box. That's a big number. I'm not going to say you're going to earn that, but the potential is there if you're a big school. Let's say you're a school of 400 students. Of your 400 students, there's probably a lot of siblings, and not all of those families are going to own their home. So let's say maybe half of them are eligible to 3/4 are eligible for this program. I don't know, depends on where you're at. But if you look at the success rate, if we only got 2% of that 400, that'd be a $4,000 fundraiser. Not bad for very little effort. That's not if we were to get half of your school, 200 families, that could be a $100,000 fundraiser for a school of 400. So I want to show you the potential. I'm not going to say you're going to make that, but the potential if we all work hard. And then also consider not just your families, but if we're working out, if we go out into the community and we're working with coworkers, family members, neighbors, now these numbers become way more realistic and maybe could even go past that. So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I want to show you reality. And so if you looked at like a 10% success rate, that could be still a pretty decent fundraiser. But if we put our heads together and we get into the community and we advocate and really try to transform our neighborhoods to solar, we could blow these numbers out of the water. It really depends how involved you want to be and how active you want to be. I want to be the Girl Scout cookies of solar energy. The Girl Scout cookies are everywhere. They're in front of the grocery store trying to get you to buy a box of cookies, and you have to pay them. Here, they're getting free solar, and we're going to pay you, the school, for that same energy, that same effort. So think about that. Let that resonate. The Girl Scout cookies of solar energy. That's what we want to be. So anyway, to get in touch with us, visit our website. I think I had it on the previous screen. It's at the bottom, fundsforsolar.com. It explains the actual fundraiser model a little more clearly than this one page. And reach out to me, Ernie at Funds for Solar. Give me a phone call, 714-584-8474. And let's talk about how to partner. Let's talk about what it would take to make this work for you. Keep in mind, if this is something that maybe doesn't work for you, maybe it works at your place of business, maybe your spouse or family member has an innovative company. We've also developed models for real estate agents, car dealerships, credit unions, and we still try to throw in the educational piece. Even though they're not schools, we try to do some of the resources to hand out to the students and kids and users of those services. So there's lots of ways to spread the word. Solar is no longer a dirty word. It's becoming mainstream, and you can't argue it's free. Can you argue? I'm waiting for the argument on the free part. I've done it and I haven't spent a dime on my system, and I save money. So anyway, we did get a couple questions. If there's a chat window, if you have any others. And let's see, who should this first question go to? Oh, Barry. Can we use only part of the NEED curriculum, or do we need to use all of it? You're muted, Barry.
Sorry about that. Yes,
there you go.
Absolutely. Success with our program depends upon flexibility with that. We encourage teachers to use those parts that they're able to use. There are maybe a few exceptions where if you leave out certain information, then you're not doing justice to a topic. But there is no requirement that an entire thematic unit, for example, be used, or it doesn't work at all. Most of our material is friendly toward a sort of an a la carte application. And when you go to the website, a nice feature is that you can search by keyword. I've had teachers, just as an example, say, I want to do something with creating your own biogas experiment, so they can type in biogas, or I just want to know about solar thermal. They just type in, and they can pull out that guide. And if it's a lengthy guide, they don't have to teach the whole guide. They can find a chapter that works for what they want to teach. I'll just throw in one thing. I taught at I worked with at-risk youth, and I don't know who our teachers' audience is, but one of the amazing things, more and more, I think we find classrooms that have different learning abilities within that classroom. And I had a really broad range. I taught for 4 years in a juvenile hall setting with kids that were roughly the same age, but their learning abilities were all over the place. But I could pull the guide from a particular topic at different grade levels and have students working together in groups. So that made it even more accessible to students that might have different learning abilities. We also have, not all of our titles, but many of our titles are in Spanish language versions.
Ah, that's good to know. Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed when I was going through and when we were discussing the different options with your curriculum, is you have modules on so many different things, from wind power to hydroelectric power to nuclear power. I mean, there was probably 30 different energy topics. And yeah, so I do like the fact that you can just pick and choose what makes sense. And then this is another part where Dr. Hoffman has helped some other schools, is by working backwards. What are they currently doing with science, and how can we upgrade their current approach by integrating some of the modules from needs. So you could go in either direction to figure out what's going to work the best. But at the end of the day, I know that kids, my son, he's 8 years old. He loves science. He's always doing experiments. And so that's something that a lot of schools are trying to find different innovative ways to bring more science hands-on, especially. I know it's challenging in a web-based environment, but there are some of the kits that you were telling me can be done remotely. And then right now there's a huge trend of going back to school. So that might not be a big problem within the next couple of months, hopefully not for next school year, but that's a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Um, this question is also for you, Barry, and it's, do you offer web support? I assume all of your support's web-based, right?
Yeah, that's I'm going to say yes, we do. And some of the forms of this web support are Instagram lessons on building a solar oven, for example. Certainly web-based workshops, like one we're providing to the Sacramento Metropolitan Utilities District this month, and that we've provided others that might be on solar energy or transportation. And there's just a number of ways that we use the internet to support schools, and that's in all 50 states. It's robust. We have an archive of videos. We have a catalog of graphics that students can use that might be, say, a cutaway view of an electric vehicle or a power plant, or showing the water cycle, for example. And so we just have tons of goods that are web-based. And I'll tell you, when I was a teacher, it was one of the most exciting things was that we had at the time some of our materials online. Now all of our materials are online.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Last question, we'll wrap up under the 45-minute mark. This is for Malia. Malia, do you think this is hard for teachers to use?
No, it's a really well-written lesson plan. It goes from setting the stage to the objectives written out, to the supplies that you need, to what content areas that it also hits. And it's just step-by-step listed for teachers to basically pick it up and implement. So as long as you have the supplies in the kit, you could leave that as a sub-plan for the day and be good to go.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there. Gang, that was great. I think that was a very clear, understandable, and straight to the point introduction to the need.org curriculum and the fundraiser from Funds for Solar. I think it's a powerful partnership. Barry, I'm looking forward to doing more of these with you and getting Dr. Hoffman involved. Hopefully next time she could do it from her house in sunny Southern California instead of cold Germany. And then maybe we'll get Keon to say something. Keon's our marketing guru, helping us get all this stuff going. But I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen in. You know, we're at the very beginning of this becoming a movement, and I would love your help. So get involved somehow. Talk with us about doing at least some curriculum resources for your school. Let's help your kids become advocates and understanding why we do this, and see if we can't make a difference with perceptions on renewable energy. And then obviously the fundraiser, let us help you generate some significant dollars to do what you do. And that's educate our young ones and prepare them for the future. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. www.fundsforsolar.com, the number 4, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ernie. Thanks, everyone.